Well, happy Monday and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Lauren Coleman alongside Maddie Gardner and Eric Chilton today.
I think the best way to describe this day is soggy.
Yes.
Eric, it has been wet, it has been rainy, really the past few days here in the Triad. What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. This system's just not really wanting to let go anytime soon. That's kind of what we're seeing. And you know, when you talk about the rain totals, it gets a little bit heavy, especially as you're looking toward the central parts of the viewing area. Now, some folks to the southeast and back up north and west, they're not seeing as much as others. So it is that typical summertime situation where you get a lot of rain and then 3 miles down the road, they get nothing. It's kind of the way it is. We're going with mostly cloudy skies tonight, a little bit cooler at 67, 82 for tomorrow. Again, mostly cloudy skies. Also, look at the rain now, not as heavy as earlier. I can tell you firsthand, coming into work today, it was a monsoon, but all of this now is drifting a little bit to the south. It's going to linger for a little bit, so we're not quite finished just yet. We'll have a rain chance again tomorrow, but lots of rain for us today. And look at this map with observed rainfall totals. I mean, you're looking at an inch more, plus an inch plus really in Winston-Salem, and you're up to a 1.8 or roughly in Greensboro, almost 2 inches of rain. And it did not fall in a long period over the whole day. It was in a short amount of time. So you had localized flooding really everywhere you see the yellow or definitely the oranges and the reds on this map, which is kind of a southwest to northeast configuration. That's where we had the showers. Now, stationary front doing just that, just kind of lingering, although it drifts a little bit to the south. We still have a chance of showers again tomorrow and really heavier chances in the southern Piedmont and heading down toward Charlotte than right over us for your Tuesday. Today we might get a little bit of a break. We think, and fingers crossed, that by Wednesday we'll start to see some changes there as this front kind of finally gets a push out of here and we'll see some gradual clearing. We'll show you our 7-day forecast. We'll take a peek all the way through the weekend coming up.
Well, the rain today made for a gloomy start to the week, certainly, but it was also a wet weekend, and that means people in Latham Park were dealing with a familiar problem, and that is flooding.
WFMY News 2's Jenna Krasina joins us from there with the conditions. Jenna, hope you're staying dry.
Latham Park is one of those areas emergency management considers a flood-prone area. Now, where I'm standing earlier was flooded, but has since dried up. City workers said there was about a foot deep of water here earlier today. Now, in the city of Greensboro, the Latham Park area was the only area officials seen any flooding in today. Latham Road was closed earlier this morning for about an hour, but has been back open all afternoon. The emergency management director for Guilford County says even though this weather isn't fun, it helps them prepare for when more severe weather comes our way.
This is definitely the same amount or a little bit less than we would get during a hurricane if a tropical system came across this area. So it starts to give us an idea of where our problem areas and how would we make sure that we've got those taken care of.
The director says if you do live in a flood-prone area, to make sure to stay weather aware. And coming up at 5, hear from some folks who live in the area about how they deal with this constant flooding.
Jenna, thank you so much. All of the rain this morning comes after a busy weather weekend. Storms brought lightning to the area. Take a look at this picture that you guys are sharing with us. This one is coming from PTI Airport, not too far from that at least. Now, some of the storms left quite a mess, including down power lines, causing some outage issues. Neighbors had to work quickly to remove tree limbs between storms. Goodness, look at that power pole just dangling there. The rain hit the Triad once again last night. As you well know, it moved through quickly on Greensboro, especially along Windover Avenue. Storms once again brought dozens of lightning strikes. Some of them could be seen in Kernersville. These intense storms made for a tough day at PTI. Planes were forced to circle the airport until they could land safely. Remember, you can take WFMY News 2 with you on the go so the weather never catches you by surprise. Download our free News 2 app and check out live weather radar in your neighborhood.
We're going to switch gears now, turning now to crime updates. High Point police say there was no active shooter at the Palladium in High Point last night, but someone did shoot and damage 2 cars. Investigators say initially the call came in as someone firing an AR-15 in the parking lot, which is why dozens of officers quickly responded. No one was found injured, but 2 cars were hit with bullets. Police say whoever was firing may have been driving a white SUV, possibly a light-colored Nissan Pathfinder. If you know anything about last night's shooting, give High Point Police a call. And new pictures released as Greensboro police look for the suspect who shot and injured a convenience store clerk. The shooting happened at University Mart on Warren Street last week. Investigators are looking for this man, whom they believe is responsible for shooting and seriously injuring the store clerk. This is the suspect with his face covered and a gun in his right hand. New pictures now show the suspected getaway car, and police say he left the scene in a car which appears to be a dark BMW. So if you recognize the suspect or this vehicle, call Crime Stoppers.
We have more news to get to in your 4 to 5 roundup this Monday afternoon. Police in Washington, D.C. are still looking for suspects in a shooting just outside of Nationals Park during a ball game last night. The gunshots were loud enough to be heard during the game's broadcast, and it sent terrified fans running. The shooting actually happened on the street just outside of the stadium. 3 people were hurt, including a woman who had just left the game. No arrests have been made at this time. Pandemic restrictions on cruises from Florida are going to stay in place for now. A federal appeals court sided with the CDC over the weekend, ruling that cruise ships do have to enforce coronavirus safety protocols for both passengers and employees. This is a setback for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who filed a lawsuit against the CDC earlier this year. Today, Governor DeSantis says he could see this case ending up in the Supreme Court. And Phoenix Suns star Chris Paul and Triad native is once again representing some of the HBCUs right here in the Triad. Check out the North Carolina A&T shirt that he wore while traveling from Phoenix to Milwaukee last night. Paul is currently a student at Winston-Salem State, but he's also taking classes through North Carolina A&T. And really, here's hoping that the Aggie Pride brings him and the Suns some luck. They need a win tonight, and tomorrow night in Game 6, I should say, to force a Game 7 and keep their NBA championship hopes alive. So both of Chris Paul's parents went to Winston-Salem State University, so now he's taking some classes there. But this is something he's been doing for more than a year now, representing HBCUs. He was doing this in the NBA bubble during coronavirus. When all that was going on, he would wear a different shirt or some swag.
I just want him to win because he's gotten so close in the past, and they looked like they were going to walk away with it in the beginning. You know, I think it was 2-0 at one point, and now they're, you know, behind again. I really want him to win.
Well, you know, people all over the country love him, but he has a huge fan base here in the Triad, so we're rooting for him. And it's exciting to see him wearing these HBCU shirts, especially A&T, since it's from our area.
Yeah, I would love to see him win tomorrow night. Right, so if they win tomorrow night, help me.
It forces.
Then Game 7 happens.
That's right.
And then they could win.
And that's it. You know, they'd have to win out the next 2 games to win the whole thing.
All right. Well,
Gotcha.
we're
Good
rooting
luck.
for you.
That's right. That's right. We're coming right back. Stay there.
Actually,
Oops, sorry, Lord.
we got a tease for you. The opening ceremonies for the Tokyo Olympics get underway Friday, but COVID-19, it is forcing some athletes to drop out ahead of the international competition. The Team USA athletes who will no longer represent the red, white, and blue this year.
Hey there, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Can you believe we're just 4 days away from one of my favorite things, the opening ceremonies at the Olympics? We've been waiting a very long time for these Olympics to happen. Now, for some, excitement may be building, but for others, Olympic dreams are being cut short.
Yep, as athletes and team officials arrive, they are tested for COVID-19, and today we learned an alternate on the U.S. gymnastics team tested positive.
Yeah, this comes just a day after teen tennis star Coco Gauff also tested positive. CBS's Lucy Kraft has the latest in Tokyo.
The hopes of tennis star Coco Gauff were dashed Sunday after the 17-year-old sensation announced she had tested positive for COVID, ending her chances of competing in Japan this summer.
At this time, unfortunately, we don't have much more information.
The news apparently caught tennis officials by surprise. This comes on top of USA basketball losing point guard Bradley Beal last week after he was placed in COVID health and safety protocols. As more Olympic teams descended on the Japanese capital over the weekend, 2 South African soccer players tested positive for COVID, the first cases of athlete infections at the Olympic Village. The South African Football Association said the whole team is now under quarantine, with their first match just 3 days away. They will only be allowed to compete if they test negative 6 hours before the match. While Olympics officials say there is zero chance the Games will end up triggering a super spreader event, many residents here aren't buying it. 2 separate news polls over the weekend found an overwhelming majority of residents are skeptical that the Games can be held safely. Local opposition to the Games isn't the only challenge this week. A major sponsor, Toyota, has pulled its Olympics advertising from Japanese TV and said its president won't attend the opening ceremony, a sign of concern over being associated with these trouble-plagued Games. Lucy Kraft, CBS News, Tokyo.
Here at home, COVID case numbers are rising. Today I spoke with Dr. Jeff Hatcher, an infectious disease physician at Cone Health, about the spread of the virus. He says the more contagious Delta variant is not the dominant strain in our area yet. That doesn't mean it isn't a problem for people, especially people who aren't vaccinated.
This variant is so contagious that it's breaking through in the population of people who are unvaccinated, right? So if you were unvaccinated, before, your chance of getting sick or getting this was a little bit less because the virus was a little bit less contagious. Now, if you're unvaccinated, you are really at risk for getting this.
And guys, I got to tell you, his message was very clear. Vaccines are safe, they're effective, and they will help protect you from getting sick. So I also asked Dr. Hatcher about another piece of protection.
Do you think we'll have to put the masks on again?
Yeah, so that's what's happening in LA right now, right? Los Angeles. Are we there yet? I'm not sure we're there yet. Will we get there? Still not sure. I think that we've come far enough that I don't think we have enough numbers in the community right now to start doing that again. I think that people have become so used to not having masks, and that there is such a sort of hesitancy about wearing masks now. I think it's going to be really hard to get people to put them back on again. It's going to be very tough.
Dr. Hatcher explained what he thinks will happen next with COVID-19, including who is most at risk. I'll have that information for you on our website.
I want to share a concerning increase in one of our coronavirus trends. It's related to the number of North Carolinians in the hospital with the virus. Today's number is 612. It's the highest number that we've seen in a month and a half. I told you last week how this number had been steadily going up, and today actually marks the 9th day in a row it's gone up. It's a shame, too, considering we'd been on a great downward slide. We hit a low of 373 just 2.5 weeks ago. We're now more than 200 higher than that. We'll be right back.
Rain, rain, and more rain. That was today, wasn't it? In fact, very heavy at times through parts of Burlington and over to Greensboro. We kind of had this diagonal line of heavier showers from the southwest of the heart of the Triad all the way up through the center and north toward Yanceyville. Just heavier showers there. Rain cooled 79 right now in Greensboro, 80 in Walnut Cove, 78 in Reedsville. Troy's at 72. And you look at temperatures overall with this, it's actually below normal. I mean, we should be, when you look at this, we should be, normally we're in the low 80s upper 80s for highs, and we're seeing low 80s, not only today, but tomorrow as well, as we go to 82 degrees for tomorrow. Look for a shower possible, and we're not going to say that it's as heavy as today. We don't think that's the case, but we do think that it'll still linger a little bit. In fact, when you go out to the wider shot here, you can see that's a stationary front that's hanging to our south. It'll do the exact same thing tomorrow. After that, though, we get a break, clearing Wednesday, and temperatures start to warm right back up. 88 and 90 Wednesday, Thursday. Only a 30% chance Friday through your weekend, but highs remain right around 90 degrees for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Our mind is where we think about our life before taking actions to live our life. And in today's U-Day message, Coach Lamont shares how you can create a new life all by changing your thoughts.
The life you create in your mind is the life you will create in your reality. Your mind lets you create in secret before you present your secret life to the public world. Now, our mind is the place we process how we want to live, where we want to live, and what we believe we deserve in life. Now, if you're a person who believes you are not good enough, not worthy enough, and will never amount to anything, your mind will actually create boundaries that forces you to approach life that way. That is why it is important to challenge every thought and cast down any thought that does not have you winning in life. You will only get as far as your mind permits you. So if you are not happy with where you are right now in life, change the way you are thinking and think yourself brand new. This is Coach Lamont reminding you to have your best U-Day. I'll see you tomorrow.
I like that. I believe that. I think he's on to something there. I think if you have the positive outlook, it usually helps.
You know, I think one of my life mottos is from the Spice Girls when they said, all you need is positivity and spice up your life. So
Spice up your life.
Would you like to see?
Yeah, do you want me to?
Oh, sure.
In my British accent or my
Right,
American
your
one?
fake British
okay.
accent.
Yeah, no, but I absolutely believe this. I think a lot of people are into manifesting their futures. For some that may be meditation, for some it may be prayer, but just hoping the best is going to happen and staying positive about it.
I think if you believe it, you can achieve it. I know you've heard that saying, and just speaking things into existence, like I'm gonna get that promotion, I'm gonna buy that car, I'm gonna get that house. Cause I think when we think negatively, like I don't want to mess up, I don't want to do this, we end up actually seeing that play out. So just think positively. Think that things are gonna happen in your favor.
And you control your happiness.
Yes.
Don't rely on other people to make you happy. Yes.
Love that.
All right. Okay, so we know that we love a good national day of anything here on the 4 to 5. You can blame me because I put these in our list every day. But this is a good one.
My hair.
This is the National You look great.
Thank you.
It's National Get Out of the Doghouse Day. I said husbands should listen up, but I think this goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
So it's a day dedicated to one of the spouses trying to right a wrong with the other spouse. So I asked you on Facebook, tell me what you do to get out of the proverbial doghouse. Yeah, and most of the comments were from men. I'm just going to tell you that.
This will be interesting.
Yes, Charles says, I just keep making my doghouse nicer and nicer. He says, yeah, just leave me in the doghouse.
Charles.
MD Moore, he said never getting married in the first place. That's how you stay out of the doghouse. He said there are 157 reasons not to. Wow. Ron says doghouse is renamed the man cave after 50 years of marriage. And Bob this is my favorite one. He says begging for mercy, followed by dinner at Spring House in Winston-Salem, and I pretend that I like the cat.
I like the cat.
I like that.
Pretend I like the cat.
Where
That's
are the
one
ladies
crap.
at? There was no feedback from the ladies?
Let me say the last time I checked. So
Okay.
you know, they keep going after we write them.
Right.
But yes.
How interesting. So what are your tips, Chilton? Just don't get in the doghouse to begin with?
Yeah, so if I get the look and I know thank you, that is it. That is it. It's one eye. It's not even side eye, it's just an eye. Like she just goes. Right.
They move independently.
When we get home, we're having that conversation.
The worst is when my wife can raise one eyebrow. I can't do it. But she looks at me and that thing goes up and I'm like, oh. But then the word, don't ever say this. This is when I get myself, I go, what did I do now? And then she's like, no, I'm not always on you. And yeah. You got to watch for cues, visual cues.
Yeah, so I guess the key is here from our male viewers to make your doghouse nice.
That's
Oh my goodness.
It's inevitable you end up there. You might as well enjoy it.
I just like that first one. My doghouse gets nicer and nicer. I'll just stay there.
Isn't it like happy wife, happy life? Ladies always right.
All of that is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It is true.
No flowers though, no like gifts, no words of affirmation.
Keep talking on Facebook because we want to hear what you have to say. Words of affirmation. I like that.
Listen, if you're ever in my doghouse, I like lilies, I like chocolate.
I like chocolate too.
Easy. You know, it seems there are camps for everything these days. No matter what your kid is into, there's a camp for that. Well, add a blues music camp to the list. Yes, it's a thing. I spoke with Fernando Jones, the founder of Blues Camp International, from his office in Chicago about their upcoming camp here in the Piedmont. Fernando, thanks for being with us today, man. This is incredible. Tell me how all this got started.
Well, I started off as a blues kid. I started playing when I was 4 years old. And when I got grown, I brought something from my childhood, which was the love for blues, to other kids. And that's how the seeds for Blues Camp and Blues Kids of America and Blues Camp International and all those wonderful things associated with my name with the word blues in it, I guess were conceived and hatched.
You know, the blues are firmly rooted in the South. I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. It really is how the Southern music was built on.
Yeah, well, I have Southern roots. My parents are from Mississippi. So when I came up and when my brothers and sisters came up, the blues was part of our life as a music form as well as a cultural element.
So explain what the camp is like. So if kids join in on this, what will it look like?
Blues Camp is 6 days. The first day is an orientation, which kicks off on August 1st. And Monday through Friday, we have a blues immersion, if you will, on the campus of Winston-Salem State University. And the blues kids will be put in ensembles according to skill level and age group. We'll be working with the kids, and we have some performance opportunities throughout the week. So we'll be hitting Sika, we'll be hitting the Delta Arts Center, and we'll be making a lot of good noise in North Carolina.
Let's talk about the future of this. I mean, where do you want this to go, and what do you want kids to take away from?
I would like for it to be an annual event in North Carolina on the campus of Winston-Salem State University in partnership with the Delta Arts Foundation, Delta Arts Center. And we want kids who want to play the blues to be part of this, because unlike jazz and classical music, respectfully, there is not that many opportunities for kids to want to play the blues. So that's why we have this opportunity for them. And Blues Camp is free. And I think that that's something that is so cool.
It's an awesome thing you're doing, buddy. Thanks for taking time out today. We'll see you at camp. We've got all the information that you need on our website. Just look for this story on WFMYnews2.com. And don't forget that if your kid is into music, this is the camp to go to. And they've been working on this for years. He's based in Chicago, but he's doing it here in the Triad. And all that music you heard, his original stuff. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
Hey man, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Rain, rain, go away. I know that is what most of you are saying and feeling after several days of gloomy summer weather.
So let's get right to Eric Chilton. Eric, when can we expect this to pass away?
You know, I think it's going to take us another day or so. Honestly, we're looking at a chance of showers again tomorrow. I just don't think they'll be as widespread or as heavy as today. A lot of it will kind of hang to the south. So, and when I say that, I mean southern tip of the Piedmont and maybe around Troy or that area, a better chance there tomorrow than say in our Virginia counties or at the line on the state line there. So kind of a gradient for tomorrow. Highs today were fairly comfortable. I mean, we should be about 10 degrees above this. We were in the upper 70s for a lot of you, some low 80s here or there. but the normal high is in the upper 80s. In fact, this is traditionally the hottest time of the year for us. Most of the rain you can see is down to the south. Let's go out to a wider shot. The heavier thunderstorm activity is now in the Sandhills and coastal plain of North Carolina and continuing through the central parts of South Carolina. That is a frontal boundary. It's a stationary front that's kind of lingering a little bit over the southeast, but it does drift a little bit south, and we'll have a better day tomorrow, I think, than today. Look at these rainfall totals, upwards of 1.8 inches in Greensboro, about the same situation as you head into Burlington. I mean, a lot of the area, really from southwest down towards Statesville and Salisbury, back up north and east, and as you head up toward Roanoke Rapids, that's kind of that line where we saw the heavier showers and more than an inch of rain for a lot of people, and it happened in a short amount of time as well. Here's that stationary front. It lingers a little bit, but tomorrow we do think it'll slip a little bit to the south. That means South Carolina, central toward Columbia and all the way to the coastal sections, they'll see a better chance of heavier rains like we had today tomorrow than we will see for that time period. Now, by Wednesday, we do think that a lot of this gets pushed even further to the south, and we should see some clearing, I think, by then. Quick look at the 7-day, just to let you know that tomorrow's still cool, relatively speaking, 82 degrees. Rain chances drop 20% to 30% for Wednesday through Friday, and highs are right back up near 90, within a degree or two, all the way through your weekend.
We are learning new details about a shooting outside of the High Point Palladium on Sunday night. 911 dispatchers quickly received several calls about the shooting, initially thought to be an active shooter. We now know that no one was injured, but bullets did hit 2 cars. Take a listen to one of those 911 calls.
He started shooting right inside, out in front of the cinema. Okay. Like literally just started open firing, but I don't know where he went because we just took off.
Chilling to hear. High Point police are still looking for the suspect in the shooting. They believe they left in a white SUV. If you know anything, give them a call.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. A Florida man will spend 8 months behind bars for his role in the January 6th Capitol riots. A judge sentenced Paul Allard Hodgkins to serve prison time, the first sentence handed down for someone charged with the riots. Hodgkins pleaded guilty to 1 count of obstructing an official proceeding last month. Before sentencing, Hodgkins apologized, saying he was caught up in the moment when he followed a crowd inside the Capitol. And today, jury selection began in the trial of an Uber driver accused of kidnapping and killing a University of South Carolina college student. Police say Samantha Josephson was killed back in 2019 after getting in a car she thought was her Uber ride. Investigators say it was not her driver, but the suspect in the case, Nathaniel Rowland. Rowland is facing several charges, including murder. After Josephson's death, ride-sharing apps made several safety changes, like letting riders call 911 from the apps. And Target is bringing back its annual teacher prep event. The retailer says educators can get 15% off classroom supplies and other essentials through July 31st. But make sure you get everything you want in one haul, because the discount can only be applied to one trip. The participating teachers have to register through Target's loyalty program. And a new partner in a new day aimed at making the North Carolina State Fair more accessible. Today, fair officials announced Raleigh-based company Bandwidth will sponsor the fair in its new Accessibility Day. Sunday, October 17th will be geared towards visitors who may get overwhelmed by all the lights and the sounds. Riders and vendors will run without music or lights at their booths, and performers will play acoustic sets. Noise-canceling headphones will also be made available.
Stocks around the world fell today as worried investors considered a global resurgence of COVID-19 fueled by that highly contagious Delta variant. Here in the United States, cases of COVID-19 have nearly tripled in the last few weeks alone. Elise Preston has the very latest.
Hospitalizations of COVID-19 patients are up 36% according to the CDC, and 97% of those patients are unvaccinated, like this 62-year-old woman in Arkansas.
There's occasions where I cough and I can't stop.
Arkansas is now in its 3rd surge, with 12 out of every 100 people testing positive for the virus. Hospitals are filling once again.
To put it into perspective, our team is in the 4th quarter right now, or maybe even double overtime. They're tired. It's tough.
The CDC reports cases are rising in all 50 states, including here in New York, and that hasn't happened since January. To stop the upward trend, health experts say more people need to get vaccinated.
every country is begging for vaccines. We have more vaccines, than we have people, and yet we're not using them. It really doesn't make sense.
Today, President Biden blamed social media for circulating vaccine misinformation.
It's killing people. It's bad information. My hope is that Facebook, instead of taking it personally that somehow I'm saying Facebook is killing people, that they would do something about the misinformation.
On Wall Street, stocks opened sharply lower Monday with concerns over the spread of the Delta variant. Shares of airlines, cruise lines, and hotels took the biggest hits.
What investors are saying right now is that we're concerned about the further reopening of the economy, at least in the short term, and we're really trying to get out of the assets that are seen as the most risky.
It came on the heels of a record-setting weekend of travel, with 2.2 million people passing through airport checkpoints Sunday. That's the highest number since early March 2020. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Well, a big concern with new COVID-19 cases is making sure people who cannot get vaccinated, like kids, stay protected. So what's the latest from doctors about kids in the Delta variant? We're going to dig into it coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5:45.
So say someone's birthday is coming up.
Hint,
hint. So say someone's birthday is coming up. Okay. And you want to say happy birthday to them. How do you say happy birthday? Is it text? Is it email? Is it calling? Is it social media posting? What is it?
For me, it's a text unless it's family, and then I call.
Okay.
Agreed.
It's a text, and if it's family like my parents or my sister, it's a card.
A card.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a card for them.
So that was my next thing. How many cards do you get or give during birthdays? And is it one of the things that you mail it because they're far away? Or if you give a gift to someone, do you always have a card with them?
So I had a birthday a week ago, and I got like 5 or 6 cards, and most of them were handed to me. 2 were mailed.
Okay.
Yeah, I get usually cards handed to me by my immediate family.
I'll get cards in the mail from my parents since they live a little further away, but when I give gifts, I usually have a card in there.
Okay, so I bring it up because I've had 3 birthday cards sent to me by viewers.
Oh, nice.
Which I love this one. This one was super sweet. This one's you're 50, we'll cheer it up. But this is the one that I wanted to read to you. It says, Tanya went out of her way to help me with a vaccination appointment challenge. Please add this to her birthday project. An anonymous grateful viewer. Hello.
Oh, that's nice.
$10.
That's amazing.
Very nice.
All right, so folks, if you haven't heard, talk to me about my birthday. If you haven't heard, you're one of the few. But anyway, if you haven't heard, I'm turning 50, and I have 2 wishes. The first wish is to raise 50,000 meals for Second Harvest Food Bank. And I'll be at the Harris Teeter at Friendly Shops tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can drop by your food donation or your cash, like the viewer, which I love. Okay, so this $10 right here can buy, where are we? Okay, this $10 can buy 70 meals. How is that possible? Well, the Second Harvest Food Bank buys in such bulk that they've got it down to a science that $1 can buy 7 meals. So your money goes a long way. And food pantries in our area like Lebanon Baptist Church in Greensboro, they partner with Second Harvest Food Bank to be able to stock their pantries.
They offer food that we can buy through their program at very, very reduced prices. So our budget for our year for our food pantry goes much, much farther than that. And produce from them is free, which helps tremendously.
And a lot of people just being very raw with us and saying, well, we lost our jobs or we got put out of work. Just a very sad situation.
They can concentrate more on their children getting their schoolwork done or trying to get a job or whatever, if they know they can feed their families. And everybody wants to make sure they can do that.
Yeah, it is a ripple effect. When you don't have to worry about what is or isn't on the table for dinner, you can do the other things that you really need to do. So donate in person, or you can donate online right this very moment. Look in the 2 Wants to Know section or the Tanya's 2 Wishes section for the link.
Hola, I am talking about photos. Mistakes not to make in photos, whether it's for LinkedIn or your dating app. Sure thing.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Whether you are looking for love or a job, the photos that you post on dating profiles or LinkedIn profiles, they say a lot about you. How do you know what message you're sending with your pictures? That's why Blanca Cobb, body language expert, is joining us today. We're going to talk all about it.
All right, Blanca, let's start out with, why are photos so important, whether you're talking about dating or professional profiles?
Photos give a first impression of who you are. Whether it's right or not, people are judging you from what you're wearing, the colors you're wearing, your stance, and your facial expressions. They're trying to figure out who you are, whether you're friendly, whether you're professional, whether you're serious, whether you're goofy. All of those nonverbal messages say something about you. It's that first impression.
So Blanca, what about this? What are some common mistakes in photos that give a negative impression, and how do you fix it?
Great question. One is when people get too close, where you just see like the neck and head. See that reaction that you had? It's almost like when you're in person and someone gets too close, you want to jump back. It's the same thing in a photo. Instead, you want to be able to see shoulders if you can, or at least midsection all the way up. Another mistake are black and white photos. Black and white photos are aesthetically beautiful. However, when it comes to dating apps, people want to be able to see your eyes. They can't see that in black and white, or it can camouflage some aging on your face. Okay, however, realize this, you're going to see people in color. So what is the point of using black and white photography to hide yourself? And the other thing is getting too far away. A lot of times people are so far back, they're like a little blip in the picture, and the focus is on the location or where they are. And you want to be the prominent centerpiece in that photo. However, you can still have the background or where you are as part of it, but just not dominating the picture.
All right, so talk about body language mistakes that we all make when we're in photos.
A big mistake that I see are people either looking down or they're looking away. You see a profile shot. That's a big mistake because you can't make a connection. You make a connection in a photo by looking into the lens, because when someone's actually seeing your picture, it's as if you're giving them eye contact. Another thing is ball caps. Ball caps are fabulous. Look at mine, right? However, if it's pulled down, it causes a shadow in your eyes. You can't see your eyes, so people will do this to compensate, lift that chin up. But what happens is it comes across as snooty, a little arrogant, not the impression that you want to give. And another common mistake, I should say, is that people have the same facial expression or same stance in all of their pictures. It's either they're all very serious or they're all very smiley and their arms are stiff. Look, you're multidimensional, you're a human, which means you have a range of emotions. Have photos where you're laughing, where you're smiling, maybe where you're being a little silly, perhaps serious also, because again, you're multidimensional. And move around. Don't have a picture where you're like this. Have an activity that you're doing, because then your body will be in different positions. Again, it gives a bigger and better picture of you.
It's a really good topic, Blanca. I'm not a body language expert, but don't hold a fish in every dating profile picture.
Yes. I've noticed that too.
Don't do that. You can continue this conversation with Blanca on our Facebook page. 1 fish is fine. 4 fish is not okay. Yeah. Search Blanca Cobb, body language expert. Yeah.
So I hate posed pictures.
Okay.
And we have to do those all the time. In fact, we have a shoot coming up very soon. Yes, I can't stand it when people are like, I cannot stand it. I want someone to catch me when I'm working or talking to somebody like that, because that's a real
like a candid shot.
Yeah.
In addition to the fish or holding the big fish, I've noticed that too, is when people have shades in every single photo. I'm like, I want to know what you really look like, because people can always look great with a fitted
or a filter
and shades on.
Like a heavy Snapchat filter. Don't make yourself a dog.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see what
the big eyes.
I could go on, but I'm getting the wrap. We're going to break.
Well, you know, it has a long and storied history in the city of Burlington, but things are coming full circle these days. We're talking about the Paramount Theater in downtown Burlington. It's nearly a century old, but man, does it have a story to tell these days. David Wright is our guide. So Dave, I know everybody's happy that this is coming back to what it was originally intended for, but I mean, the history of the Paramount goes way back. Tell me a little bit about that.
We opened in 1928 as the Grand Theater and operated under that name for 9 months. We became the Paramount in 1929. And for decades, this was the family movie house. This was the first-run movie house. Times changed. The theater fell on hard times, and it was closed for a while. The Gallery Players took it over in the mid-70s, did great shows under very Spartan conditions. The city had to close the theater because there was so many code violations. Fortunately, the people of Burlington got to the city council and said, we need the Paramount. And $2 million, and a couple of years later, we reopened on Valentine's Day in 1998, and we've been having more fun than we meant to ever since.
I like that. When you have more fun than you meant to, it's a good day. Let's talk about, because I did read that this had an unusual use during the pandemic when we couldn't go to the theater. What were you guys doing with it?
We were set up to be a courtroom and not for 12 angry jurors. We were actually part of the Alamance County judicial system for a period of time where they came here and did civil trials, Superior Court civil trials. We only got one in because, as we found out, you can settle a civil court case 10 minutes before the case goes to trial. It did show people what we've said all along, that the Paramount is for everybody and all kinds of events, and that was one for sure.
Now, August 20th, right? That's the grand reopening. What can we expect?
Oh, we're going to have a great time. The Embers, one of the truly remarkable musical groups in this area for, 60 years. They're coming in, they're going to do a beach blast show for our reopening. Bobby and the guys are really excited about coming here again. We're going to have great music, door prizes, free non-alcoholic refreshments, and we might even sell a beer or two. But it's going to be a great night of beach music and a great way to bring the Paramount back to life.
There's so much history there, and whenever he told me, because when I set this up, I didn't realize that they used it as a courtroom.
That's crazy.
And so when you look at those pictures of the stage curtain, it looks like you're watching Inherit the Wind or something, but it's like literally they held courtroom. Yes.
I love these like local small theaters. We were talking about in Mount Airy, they have the Earl, and we were wondering how old it is. I looked it up, built in 1938, and actually that's where my grandpa took my grandma on their first date.
Really?
Mm-hmm, right on Main Street.
I like those old theaters, and there's always one, in every town like this. So they're preserving this one, and it's in great shape.
Just makes us feel like we're somewhat getting back to normal, seeing more of these theaters open up.
August 20th, I believe. Don't quote me. I think that's the opening date. Yes. We'll have all the web story on WFMYnews2.com.
So much history.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I saw Star Wars and Raiders at the Earl when I was
Look at you.
That's how old I am. We're coming right back.
Dating yourself.
I am.
It's a fun Monday show.
It is.
Thanks guys.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flooding, rain, thunderstorms. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Hello there. Apparently the weather has been crazy because I left and now it's still crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hi there, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington.
Was involved.
No bad news. I did not bring.
No one was hurt during that incident, but one of those vehicles actually belonged to someone who was inside the Regal Cinema.
Mic check 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check.
It's time for my 2 cents. It's funny what we remember and what objects bring those memories back. I went home to visit my parents in Mount Airy over the weekend, and we started looking through the attic archives, as I call them, old items that we've held onto for some reason. Things that may seem like junk to most suddenly became treasure troves of good thoughts to us. It all started with finding an old bike helmet, black with my mother's perfectly printed handwriting and paint marker on the sides. Now, you would see a bike helmet and nothing else. But when I looked at it, I saw the memory of going to Walmart with my family to buy new helmets. There was one, only one, beautifully marbled pink, orange, yellow, and purple helmet that, of course, my sister and I both wanted. But as the older sibling, she pulled rank and got it. The only remaining helmet was plain and black, and it looked so sad, and I was heartbroken until my mom pulled me aside and said, "Maddie, this one is even better. When we get home, I'll help you decorate it exactly how you want." Later on that day, we uncovered letters that I had written to my parents from my grandparents' house, and across the top in big bold letters it read, "Do not go away without us again." I rolled my eyes at my adolescent attitude, but then I smiled, remembering all the fond moments spending a weekend with my granny and pa, the homemade mac and cheese, the buttered toast with preserves, and the endless checkers games. Of course, later on, we uncovered the Museum of Student Council campaign, specifically these t-shirts that I had made in 7th grade for my bid for secretary. When I saw those, I thought of old classmates and even exchanged messages with a few of them inspired by the find. I lost that campaign, by the way. The objects will and should be donated or discarded, but it's the memories that stick around, and that's truly what matters. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
A wet morning in the Triad. Greensboro's Latham Park was completely saturated from heavy rainfalls. North Buffalo Creek flooded the park, turning it into a river practically.
And this